The most expensive seats for this year's Formula One Singapore Grand Prix have been sold out despite a record ticket price of over $11,000. The three-day Paddock Club tickets surged by over 10%, making it the first time since the F1 Singapore Grand Prix started in 2008 that ticket prices have hit the five-figure range. Despite the price, those tickets and also for race day were sold out within weeks of release. Several other categories of tickets have also sold out, but it's not all getting more expensive, with the prices for 5 categories going down while 17 will keep the same price from last year. Organizers have also introduced 2 new grandstands for this year's race, making up for the reduction in capacity due to the upcoming closure of the Bay Grandstand. And off the track, British pop star Robbie Williams and American rapper Post Malone were among the first entertainment acts announced by the organizers for this year's event earlier today. More performers will be announced in the lead-up to the race weekend. Joining us now is James Walton, Sports Business Group Leader for Deloitte Asia Pacific. James, inflation hitting the Singapore Grand Prix as well, with some eye-watering ticket prices, and yet demand is still red hot. What's going on?
I think there's a combination of factors here. When the new owners took over Formula One, they said they needed to look at the demographics of the fan base, and they wanted to attract a younger fan base. They wanted in particular to attract an Asian fan base to get into markets that they hadn't been in before, for example, like the US, where NASCAR was king, and to even get into the female demographic as well, and really to get away from this idea of the petrol heads, the 40, 50, 60-year-old Caucasian, mostly European, Australian kind of fan base. And they've gone about that a number of ways with things like virtual racing from an e-gaming point of view. But perhaps the most important aspect of all of this that is driving new demand was, of course, their Netflix series, Drive to Survive, which brought a whole new fan base to the sport. So now, post-pandemic, as people are starting to get out to events again, we're starting to see people traveling again, revenge travel, whatever you want to call it. It's really a perfect storm for them. They've built a new fan base. They've got an appetite for people to get back to mass events and an appetite for people to travel. And that's all kind of playing into their hands at the moment.
But are these price hikes sustainable, especially with some economists saying we may be heading into a technical recession soon? What is the tipping point, you reckon, for F1 fans, or is F1 recession-proof?
I don't think anything is recession-proof, but you do have to say there's a limited amount of live sports, live entertainment out there, and particularly in Singapore, when you think about the international sporting scene. Obviously, we've just had the HSBC Rugby Sevens. We've got some Premier League teams coming on their pre-season tours and such. But really, you know, the opportunity to see your world-class superstars in action in a competitive situation like this doesn't come around very often. And on top of that, over the years, firstly, the organizers have done a very good job with their concert lineups and the off-track entertainment that really makes it, for even the casual fan will go along because of the opportunity to see the concert, soak up the atmosphere. And then on the side of MTI and Singapore Tourism Board and the other stakeholders in this project have done a very good job of surrounding with other types of events. So you look at the number of business events, conferences, Bloomberg, these kind of things that are all happening during that period as well, and very deliberately with the aim of having people stay on a little bit longer for Formula One or stay on after Formula One for the conference. So really the whole ecosystem has come together to make a very attractive event. And on that basis, with the number of corporate clients, with the number of middle class and high net worth individuals that come to Formula One, the number of tourists that come in, which is usually around 45% as a minimum per year traveling in, as this is the only Formula One race now in Southeast Asia as well, and with the China Grand Prix being cancelled the last couple of years, this is the only race between Australia and Japan. A lot of things are really in their favor. So I think there will be a limit, but they're nowhere near that price limit at the moment, judging by how ticket sales have gone last year and this year.
So I suppose we can expect quite a crowd to continue this year, you reckon? Because last year we saw record-breaking attendances, but that could possibly be because of the 2-year pandemic and forced break. But this year, what do you expect? Do you think we'll see the same sort of turnout?
Well, I think it's likely to be a record-breaking crowd with the news that just came out in the last 48 hours or so that they are going to actually create new viewing points around the circuit. I think it's 4 new viewing points that are being put in, seating that will be sold soon, and the fact that effectively their early bird tickets are already sold out, which is something that in the past didn't always happen every year, but has happened last year and this year. There was a last-minute scramble last year of people trying to get tickets that simply weren't out there. I'm expecting it to be the same this year. I think if you're a Formula One fan and you want to see that race, I would be telling you anytime you see tickets become available, get in there and get those tickets, because I think it's going to be another sellout, and I think the attendance is going to be even higher than last year.
So James, just a roundup of our discussion today, I have to ask you this. So are you saying that, F1 fans are still getting value for money from the Singapore Grand Prix?
I think value for money is a very subjective thing, right? One man's value for money might not be somebody else's value for money. But I think when you consider that at the higher end of the packages, when you look at getting 3 race days plus 3 days of concerts and all the things that go around, all the off-track entertainment on top of the racing, that probably does represent value for money. Now, if you're just coming for the race on Sunday and sitting in a zone without much entertainment, maybe it's not so much. But the bottom line is, the proof is in the pudding. People are signing up here at these rates. The tickets are selling out. People obviously do feel like they're getting for value for money. As long as the entertainment lineup continues to be strong, as long as Formula One continues to do its own part in attracting people to the sport through a mix of improvements in the racing, through having more competition between the cars, also fulfilling their sustainability project, as well as continuing to market through things like Drive to Survive and the social media and the e-gaming side. I really believe that for the next couple of years, as long as Singapore has this Grand Prix, the attendances are going to stay high.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos.